Okay, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. So I'm in a different makeup. This video I'll do this makeup in a different video that will be coming soon at some point, but I forgot to film an intro when I filmed the outro for this video, so it's me from the future. It's always me from the future, but you get what I mean. Yeah, so today I'm going to be doing 3 looks, 1 palette using the Raine Juicy Boost palette. In my first impressions, I said that I wasn't going to film a 3 looks, 1 palette video. And then I couldn't stop using it, and I was like, this palette is so versatile. How could, of all the palettes that I have, how could I possibly not do a 3 looks, 1 palette with this video? With 3 looks, 1 palette with this palette. So here we are. I just love this palette. I also used it in conjunction with two of the other colored range palettes that I have. So the Safari Raine and the Power palette, just because I have them, and I just feel like this palette is like the Juicy Boost is so mid-toned, except for that one dark green, that I was going to pull in deeper shadows anyway, or at very least mix them with a black, and I was like, why not just use the palettes that I already have from this brand when they work so perfectly with the looks that I want to do. So you don't have to obviously use those palettes or those shades. You can use any similar shades. You don't have to deepen looks up if you don't want to. I just really, you know already, I really prefer to have depth to my looks and like contour my eyes and stuff, or you could just mix shadows with a black. Like, you don't have to have a different shadow to deepen looks up. You can just use a black. I'm just using what I have. I honestly had so much fun with this palette. I love all of the looks that I did. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what look is your favorite, and if you have this palette or any of the other palettes that I used. I've been working so much, my brain is so like discombobulated, but yeah, let's just get into the looks. Okay, and so this is going to be the first look using the Juicy Boost palette. So I'm going to do a little bit more of a neutral look today. I'm going to start with the shade Ginger Bay. And I'm just going to put this in my crease as a transition shade. I haven't done like an orange crease in a really long time, so I'm very excited. That is such a glorious shade. I love it so much. Now I'm going to take the shade Orange Carrot. So it's this orange shade at the bottom here. And I'm going to put this into my crease in my outer corner. And this looks specifically as well is, I'm doing this because someone commented on, I think, my first impression video and said that they would like me to do a look with like some of the more contrasting colors that are like different from each other. So I thought I would do this today, and I'm really excited about it. I know some people think it's boring, and I mean, fair enough, but I actually really love the look of doing like a warm brown, warm neutral crease and then putting like a blue or a green on the lid. I just love the way it looks, and I think it's such a great, easy way to incorporate like a pop of color into your eyeshadow that's more appropriate for like a daily basis, or not appropriate, but you know, like that's more accessible, that it's easier to wear. I don't know. I just really like the way it looks. because there isn't really a shade that's deep enough for my preferences in this palette to deepen a crease up, I'm going to take the shade Matriarch from the Safari Raine palette, and I'm just going to put this in my outer corner and my crease just to deepen things up a little bit more. But if you don't want to use a separate palette or a separate shade, you can always just go in with the black and mix it with the color in your crease, and obviously you'll get more depth without having to go into an entirely separate shade. Doing this doesn't really bother me, but there's always workarounds. And then I'm just going to blend out the Matriarch shade with the same brush that I used the shade Orange Carrot on, but I'm not going to take any additional product. Alright, so that's my crease, basically how I want it. I'm going to cut my crease and be right back. Okay, so that is finished. I'm going to go quickly over the edges of my concealer with the shade Orange Carrot. I'm going to put some of that on my lid as well, and do the same thing with the shade Matriarch from the Safari Raine palette. And deepen my outer corner one more time. Now I'm going to take the shade Blueberry Burst. It's this metallic, like bluey green shade. It's actually super pretty. I'm going to spray that, and then I'm going to put this all over my lid. So it's overall like a pretty easy, simple look. But I just think it's so nice. And this shade is, like, look at that. It is so pretty. And then I'm going to be careful now because I don't want to blend it too much, but I'm just going to take a tap more of Orange Carrot just to blend into the lid shade, but it's an orange and a blue, so it's going to look a little bit weird if I blend it too much. And then I'm just going to take whatever's left on the brush and just blend it back into the orange, just kind of blending back and forth. It's not going to look perfect, but I just kind of want to do a little. And then I'm going to take the slightest little bit of that Blueberry Burst shade on my finger and just go over my lid to give it the most intensity that it can have. I'm going to go back into the shade Ginger Bay, so the very first shade that I use, and I'm just going to buff that over the edges of the eyeshadow just to help it blend a little bit. And then for my brow bone, I'm going to take the shade Coconut Water. This is just a matte white, and I'm just going to highlight a little bit with that. Alright, so for my lower lash line, I'm actually going to keep it pretty simple and just go in with the same shades that I used in my crease. This is a really simple look, so the same Orange Carrot shade. So I'm just going to take that same Orange Carrot shade that I used in my crease. I'm going to stamp this all on my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take the shade Matriarch, so that deep brown, and I'm going to put this all along my lower lash line, connecting it to my upper lash line, and then I'm going to blend this out a little bit more. And then I'm going to take that same shade Ginger Bay and I'm going to blend that, blend the lower lash line out with that. And that's basically it. For my inner corner, I'm going to use my face highlight because there's not really a shade from either of these palettes that is really going to be super great for that for me. So I'm going to use my Milk Makeup Flex Highlighter in the shade Lit. Alright, and that's basically the eyeshadow done. Like I said, really simple, but has a really fun pop of color on the lid. I love this Blueberry Burst shade. It's such a beautiful green-blue duochrome. I'm going to do liner, lashes, lips, and I'll be right back. Alright, and this is the finished look. I really like it, like I said before. Simple, but that is not a bad thing. On my lips, I'm wearing the Fenty Beauty Senna Lip Paint in the shade Unbutton. I haven't worn this in so long, and I love it. And I used ColourPop Puppy in my waterline, just an orange. This is the most neutral look of the bunch. Neutral, warm crease with a pop of blue. This blue shade is so beautiful. I absolutely love it. I really don't have much else to say. So let's get into the second look. Okay, please excuse my hair because it looks insane, but this is the second look using the Colored Raine Juicy Boost palette. So I'm first going to start off by using the shade Citrus Zinger, and then I'm going to mostly use the middle row after that. And then I'm going to put this in my crease as a transition shade. This is quite light, like it's very, you can see it barely even shows up on my lids, so it's very pale. Okay, so now I'm going to take the shade Apple Strawberry, and I'm going to put this in my outer corner and my crease. This is pretty much just a true red shade. It looks pink when you like see it in the pan, but it's just basically a red. Okay, so now I'm actually going to go into the Colored Raine and Power palette, and I'm going to take the shade Snitch. So it's this like warm toned purple shade, and I'm going to blend this through my crease and my outer corner just to give it a little bit more depth. Again, like I mentioned before, I'm using this because I want more depth to my look, but you could always just use a black. You could use like any deep red or deep purple that you have in your collection, even like a deep brown, just any shadow that's like deeper than this like red shadow that I used. And you can just fucking throw it in there just to create a little bit more depth. And then I'm going to take the same brush that I used the Apple Strawberry shade on, and I'm going to blend out that purpley shade. This crease is so beautiful. I absolutely, oh, like look at these shades together. They're so nice. I just love it. Okay, and so now I'm going to take the shade Sweet Ruby. It's this pink metallic shade. This is the same shade that I used in my first impressions video. And I'm not going to cut my crease or anything. I'm just going to go right all over the lid with this shade. So I'm going to use it first with a brush that's been dampened, but I definitely feel like this shade shines when it is used with a finger, just because it is pretty flaky. I actually don't find that I get a ton of fallout with this or anything. I kind of expected to because it is so textured, but if you dampen your brush, it really like adheres to the lid surprisingly well. Like it kind of just sticks right on there. And this is just like with water. I haven't used like a glitter glue or anything. So this is the part where I might get a little bit of fallout. I'm just gonna go I'm going to raise my eyebrows so I can get the maximum amount of like room possible to work with. And I'm going to take the apple strawberry shade, and I'm going to go just around the edges of the front of that eyeshadow just to bring everything together. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the Snitch shade, so that's the deeper purple, and I'm going to do basically the same thing just to get a little bit more definition, to keep the definition there. I'm going to take a dab of apple strawberry and just tap that onto the lid where I put the Sweet Ruby shade. Again, trying not to disturb that shimmer too much. And then I'm going to use the shade Snitch again just to deepen my outer corner one more time. And then I'm going to take the shade Sweet Ruby on my finger and intensify it, so you can see how it just really amps it up that much more when you use your finger. I'm going to go into the Citrus Zinger shade, so that was that very light yellow, and I'm going to buff that all along the edges of my eyeshadow just to help it blend a little bit more. And then I'm going to go into the shade Coconut Water. It's that white again. And then I'm going to put this a little bit on my brow bone. And I debated back and forth over what I was going to do for my lower lash line, but I think I genuinely just want to keep it all just really like red all the way around. That's really what I'm feeling. So I'm just going to take the shade Apple Strawberry, and I'm going to stamp that all along my lower lash line, and I'm going to blend it out. Okay, so as you can see, I went very intense with the lower lash line with that Apple Strawberry shade, and then I'm going to go back with the shade Snitch and stamp this all along my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take the shade Citrus Zinger one more time and again use it as a transition and just blend the edges of the red pink Apple Strawberry shade. This is very intense, but I love it. I love this look so much, and I haven't even finished it yet. This makes me just want to like go out and do something, even though it's already 4:30 and we're in full last lockdown, so there's nothing I could do anyway, but I love this look. For my inner corners, again, I'm just going to use my face highlighter, which today is the Colored Raine again and Power collab. It's the blush and highlighter duo in the shade Prove My Loyalty, so it's obviously this white shade. I'm going to give this a little spritz because it's a little bit looser. Okay, so my camera stopped recording while I was doing my inner corner, but that is basically the look done. I'm just going to hop off camera, do liner, lashes, lips, and then I'm going to say goodbye. Okay, and this is the final look. I think this is gonna be for sure my favorite of them all. I wish I could wear this every day of my life. I love it so much. On my lips, I put the Annabelle lip liner in the shade Buff, and then the ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Fairy Floss. Everything that is Everything else that's on my face will be in the description box, as it always is. Well, as it is most of the time. And let's get into the third and final look. Okay, and welcome to the final look of this 3 looks 1 palette video. So my camera's at 44%, so I'm trying to really zoom through this one. I'm going to play with the top row here. I'm going to start with the shade Cucumber Avocado. I'm going to put this in my crease as a transition shade. And I had the worst day today, honestly. I got into the lab this morning at 7 in the morning, and the GC, the gas chromatograph that I was using to run my samples, was not working, and it wasn't recognizing the peaks for CO2 or N2O, and I had been using it the day before, and I had no idea why it wasn't working. And it took me like at least 4 hours. I was using a different GC, but it was supposed to be like a 4-hour work day that turned into like a 7.5-hour work day, and only to realize at the end of the day that it was just because the regulator valve to the N2 tank was turned off. So that was very annoying. And then I lost my debit card on the way home. So all in all, not a great day, but we're gonna do some eyeshadow and feel better. I'm going to do something a little bit different. So on this eye, I'm going to take the shade Mint Leaves. It's this like mid-toned green here. And I'm going to put that in my outer corner and my crease. And this shade definitely is quite light. Like, it looks like it might be a little bit deeper when you look at it in the pan. Okay, and then on my other eye, I'm going to take the shade Energy Boost. So I'm going to do a 2-toned look. I don't do these very often, but I love the way they look, and I feel like the green and the blue could kind of work together kind of well. I don't know. We're just trying something out today. And so now I'm going to deepen up my crease with the shade Kale. Yeah, it's a deep green shade. And I'm just going to put that in my crease and my outer corner on both sides. so that is my crease done. I'm not quite sure if it looks like I just mixed up my colors or if it looks intentional, but I'm going to cut my crease and then we'll come back and do the lid. Okay, so my crease is cut. I'm going to go back into the shade Mint Leaves and go over the edge of my concealer. And do the same with the shade Energy Boost. And then put each of those shades on my lid and just blend my shadows together with the concealer. And then on both sides, I'm going to go into the shade Kale, yeah. And I'm going to go over the edge and just deepen the edge of my shadow. And I'm going to deepen the outer corner on both sides as well. And then for my lid, I'm going to go into the shade Lemon Wheatgrass. It's a really beautiful gold green metallic shade. It's so nice. I'm going to get that on a little flat brush. I'm going to wet it and then I'm just, like I said, going to put it all over my lid on both sides. That is such a beautiful, like, goldy green shade. I can't even describe it. I'm gonna go back into each of the shades I used in my crease one more time. So Mint Leaves and Energy Boost. And I'm just going to, oh, my mirror light is broken. So if the light just went darker, that's why. And I'm going to put that on, just fade that into the shimmer a little bit on each eye. Again, I hope that it looks, I feel like it kind of just looks like one of my brushes was dirty or something. I hope it comes together in the end. And then I'm going to take Energy Boost on my finger and just intensify that on the lid. Like, that is, oh, such a pretty color. And so I'm going to go back into the first very light green shade that I used and go over the edges of my shadow, the shade Cucumber Avocado. I laugh every time I use this palette because I don't know why, I just think the names are so funny. And then on my brow bone, I'm going to use the shade Coconut Water. It's that white. I think I've done this for every single look. So basically for my lower lash line, I'm going to keep it relatively simple and I'm just going to mimic what I did in my crease for each of my eyes. So right now I'm just going into the shade Mint Leaves, putting this all along my lower lash line. And then on this eye, I'm going to go into the shade Energy Boost. And I'm going to also put that all along my lower lash line and blend it out as well. And then on both eyes, I'm going to go into the shade Kale, yeah. And put that all along my lower lash line and then blend it out a little bit with the pencil brush. And then also on both eyes, I'm going to take the shade Cucumber Avocado. So again, that really light green, and I'm going to blend the edges of the shadow out on my lower lash line. I feel like it looks more intentional now that I have all my, like, my lower lash line and everything done. Like, it looks like I meant to do this. Okay, and then finally for my inner corner, again, I'm using the same highlight I used in the last look. I'm using the Colored Raine Blush and Highlighter Duo Improve My Loyalty. This is also what I'm wearing on my face today. And I'm just spraying that white highlighter shade and I'm just putting that in my inner corner. Okay, so I really like the way that this is looking. I'm going to hop off camera, do my lips, and put my lashes on, and then we'll be back to conclude the video because this is the third and final look. Okay, and this is the final look. So on my lips, I used the I Love Satin and ColourPop Ultra Matte Lip in the shade Sueno de Coco. I used this in a recent video, I think in my Natasha Denona video, so even the video that might have gone up earlier this week, but I really like it. So I'm trying to use it before it totally expires and becomes unusable on me. But I really like the way this look came out. I don't normally do looks like this at all, but it's making me more inclined to do two-toned looks. I was concerned that it wasn't gonna look super intentional and that it was just gonna look like my brush was dirty in one eye or something, but I think it actually turned out pretty good. Overall, I just had so much fun using this palette. I just love it. I really love it. And it kind of makes me sad that it got such negative reviews and that I feel like a lot of people probably didn't buy it because of that. But I think honestly, if you're interested in this palette, and you like the color story, I would say like go for it. Honestly, like I find personally, if you do maybe your makeup the same way that I do, or you have like a similar makeup style, I don't think that these shadows are very hard to work with. I find them pretty easy to blend. Like they're not the easiest shades to blend in the world. Specifically the dark green that I used in my crease is maybe like the most difficult shade in this palette to use, but other than that I found like they're all pretty easy to blend. They're pigmented, but they're very easy to build. It's pretty standard colored Raine quality. I actually really love all three of these shimmers here. Yes is the pink, the middle pink shimmer shade, a little bit flaky, yeah, but if you wet it or if you use a glitter glue, I don't think it's bad. And these other two shimmers are so sparkly and beautiful. I have had so much fun using this palette. I've used it a ton. I think if you're on the fence about this palette, maybe it goes on sale or you just want to try colored Raine, I don't think it's bad. I really enjoyed it. I think you can do a ton of different looks and I just really like it. I do wish that there was more depth, but you can always pair your palettes with other palettes that you have, other singles, like, or even just using blacks in conjunction with them. I don't necessarily think single palettes always have to be 100% usable completely on their own. Let me know if you like this video. Are there any other palettes that you want me to do 3 looks, 1 palette videos with? I don't know why I have such a hard time saying that. Let me know which look was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!